What's up, y'all? Rich Slayton here with a really fun video. Now, before we get started, if you don't want any spoilers for the Queso Cup Golden Edition Finals, turn the video off right now and go watch the Queso Cup Golden Edition Finals. The link's in the description. Press pause, go get that, watch that, and then come back and watch this later. Okay, spoiler people gone? You're out of here? Good. Today's video is a long one. It's a whole lot of fun. It's the Mohamed Light Super Cut, the Prince of Egypt turned the young pharaoh. It's his amazing run to the Golden Ticket Championship for that Queso Cup Golden Edition. So that's it. No more intro. Like, subscribe, use code RICH in the Supercell shop, all that important stuff. But most importantly, enjoy this amazing run by arguably the greatest player of all time.
Mohamed Light versus Curry. Mohamed Light rocking Royal Giant and EQ the most, and then Curry on the other side of it going with a 44% win rate, being our lowest seeded player, I'm assuming, with Graveyard and Poison as his two. Ta awaiting the winner of this set. Faust and Assaf going to be going head-to-head. Mugi, Sandbox, Arden, Toas, and Tiago. Those are the matches that we have decided already in the upper bracket. And then, as you guys saw, the lower bracket still getting filled out, but Wallace, a big name to be down there, and a threatening one if you're any of these guys. Harold, Demas, Ian, Famous Kid, Titan, and Archangel. Here we go. Mohamed Light, Curry, Josh, this feels like, I mean, you look at the numbers on screen, 14-5, 4-5, a little bit different.
Yeah, I was looking at the matchups that Mohamed Light was playing in order to go, 7-0 in sets and win in the day one. And I mean, it was gorgeous. The only time he lost an opening match was when he used Three Musketeers pump. And then I was thinking like, oh, maybe that's, not the best play. And then I was looking at more of his matches, and then he won like 2 or 3 other games with them, and that was his only loss with it. So
wow.
Basically, like, anything Mohamed Light does, I will not say anything negative about it when it comes to deck selection and just overall gameplay, because I feel like it's impossible for him to mess up.
3M Pump has been around in the game for a very long time, and it has been incredibly ineffective for years. And now seeing it kind of come back into the meta with that buff of Pump, and obviously the buff of the Three Musketeers they got a while back when that Musketeer got the buff. Playing against a very good Pump 3M player is one of the hardest and most frustrating things to do, at least in my opinion. A nice prediction here, though. Gets on top of the Tesla with the Fireball coming in from Mohamed Light. Still has to drop down a Skeleton King to defend, and he gets a couple nice shots on towers. So Mohamed Light getting picked apart just a hair there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Scarmy. The Skeleton King was just really solid overall. But I think Mohamed Light's fine with that. He cycles quicker than his opponent, so if he stays kind of even, then he can just kind of win out through, or win at the end of the game. Log out of cycle. Does he have the correct response? Sort of, but not totally. Gonna have to force out the mortar, and the Tesla's gonna be able to clean that up nicely. He's doing exactly what he needs to win this game. If you're looking from Curry's point of view. But I don't know what he can do as this game goes on. Mohamed Light is just so powerful when he uses these minor decks. The reason why, bans should arguably be implemented again in competitive is so that we can take away these kind of decks from players like Mohamed Light. Because when he gets into this game, you just feel like it's over.
Yeah, and it's such a good thing that you bring to the table when you say that, just because Mohamed Light is arguably the best. It's so funny because this isn't a thing that we used to really say, but the game has evolved. Mohamed Light is like the best Tesla player in the game, right? And that's such an interesting thing to say, but it's a really strong thing to have in your resume. And then you talk about the other side of it, minor wall breakers, fast cycle, micro interactions, and there's a reason why Mo Light is not even arguably anymore, but the #1 player in the world. And this deck, this type of deck, is one of the reasons why.
I mean, so far, Curry's been playing this beautifully.
Yeah.
He's up 500 HP. The Musketeers are always placed correctly. He's getting a lot of, he's just doing a lot with this. And then another nice play, Minor plus Poison, getting the tower down to 1500. I said that Mohamed Light wasn't losing game one. you know, any game ones, right here, he might lose the game one. This Skarmy on defense is so strong. Even if he does manage to get the fireball on top, it's just not going to be enough. It still will be able to take out those miners.
Yeah, and you saw exactly that Skarmy kind of not being played on defense the like maybe 2 or 3 now Wallbreaker sends ago, and Mohamed Light was looking for the Skarmy with the predictive log there. So really nice stuff there by Curry to change up his defenses. And yeah, Josh, it really does look like our consensus #1 player is struggling here in game #1.
He's going to go in with a miner, and then the log will come down as well. It's just not going to be enough. The Skarmy taking names right there.
Wow.
1921, 37 seconds left. Does protect the mortar, but... Oh!
Wow.
Did he
Mortar's on tower, man.
Did he place the Tesla too high? I think that might be the case.
Yeah, I think he's 1 tile too high there, so Mortar locks back on. 540 remains, and if you are Curry, you're sitting back going, holy crap, I'm about to beat this guy. All I need to do is defend for 15 seconds. 1602 to 540. Miner plus poison comes in. Great send there, and that poison, that miner poison combo we saw earlier when Mohamed Light missed the prediction on the Skarmy coming down because Curry changed up his defense. And then offensively, Curry goes, all right, I know what you've spent. I can go miner plus poison. You cannot defend. Your Valkyrie is out of cycle, so you just have to eat all that miner damage. So Mohamed Light, a rare loss in game #1 to a guy that, I'll be honest, Josh, I don't know really anything about, but he took a game off Mo Light, and that's pretty dang impressive to me.
I mean, that is the case of being so confident in your player that you don't really care about what your opponent is using. And also the case of this was a great deck selection. The Skarmy will always get value. It goes back to a couple games ago when I was saying I don't like using miner with poison because, or you know, graveyard with poison because you can just auto lose games. Right there we see the miner plus poison, even though sometimes it doesn't work out for you. If your opponent does have Skarmy, if your opponent does have bats, the poison versus the fireball changes everything. You can't defend properly. You have to space out troops when you don't want to. Right there we saw why poison is so strong, even though, you know, subpar players like me aren't willing to use it.
Well, if you're subpar, I don't know where that puts Rich and I, but we don't need to get into that. We need to keep this a family-friendly stream. So, yeah, you know, you talk about that, the point that you made about being so confident in yourself that you're not worried about what your opponent's playing. He knew, and I think Mohamed Light recognized pretty early on that those wall breakers were probably never going to connect. So it was going to be all about that minor chip damage, and Curry just had it completely locked down. Mohamed Light rarely is a person that you see kind of struggling to figure out a way to create offense, especially with a deck like this, but Curry had his number. Great deck choice, great play with the Skarmy, and like you said, not having that poison for Mohamed Light made it so that those pushes were really, really easy to defend. You never have to worry about that Skarmy getting taken off the board unless Mohamed Light's going to be so aggressive that he's going miner plus fireball plus wall breakers, and I don't think he's going to be doing that too often. Hopping into game number 2.
So
Curry up 1.
So miner out of, you know, the arsenal for Mohamed Light. It's going to be interesting to see what he goes for game 2. I was going to say we could possibly see Hog. We could possibly see, you know, Royal Hogs right there. Golden Knight, this often means MK, but it looks like he could be using Golem in game number 2. On the flip side, Curry could be using the Royal Recruits deck that had a lot of success in an earlier set.
Josh, just a quick tip, man. If you haven't finished the sentence, you could just lie and say that you were expecting Golden Knights out of both sides, and you'd look like a genius. It's the only time I've gotten calls right in 5 years.
I just don't like doing it. You know, it's in my bones to be an honest human. But you're right. It is something that I will work on.
And you see here a nice cleanup here on the right-hand side. You called it perfectly. It looks like we are going to be seeing Golem here out of Mohamed Light. So he goes to 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. Talking game number 1, quick, fast, loose, Tesla in there. Game number 2, going to a champion, going to a heavy beatdown deck, and we'll see how that fares. A lot of good DPS and a lot of good slowing here on the side of Curry, and those Royal Recruits are going to help even more.
Oh man, this is just not the matchup that Mohamed Light wants.
Yeah.
He's going against Zappies, and I mean, and I could be wrong, he could be running poison, but this deck consistently has a lightning. And that means he has lightning cage golem against recruits zappies. And I'm sick if I'm Mohamed Light. I'm thinking there's nothing going on in my head except, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose 0-2. And you know, obviously he's gonna have a better mindset than I am, but it's hard not to have that mindset when you're faced with this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfectly. And then you also talk about the kind of nuisance that those Royal recruits are going to be, in the sense that you can play them and you can defend easily, and then you got that counter lane or the opposite lane pressure. And then when you're building these golem pushes, you don't want to have to be splitting up your support troops. You want to be able to focus on one lane. So we'll see how Mohamed Light plays through this tough matchup.
Yeah, 23 seconds left. Hasn't even attempted a golem, and you know that's exactly how you should be playing it. Right here, we are gonna finally see it be placed in front of the Night Witch. No, placed at the, at the bridge. We finally get to see that in comp. I want to see, and we don't see a lightning. Instead, trying to build that push, but the arrows are gonna provide a ton of value. Zappies plus arrows plus cage.
There's the NATO dash.
Going to be enough, but there we go. The dash on tower. Golden Knight getting a lot of damage.
And Mohamed Light did that fancy footwork last weekend as well. We've seen him do this before, and look at that. That's how you play through a tough matchup. The cold-blooded stare into the camera. Mohamed Light plays through what felt impossible, and there's very few that make it look as easy and as pretty as Mo Light with that brilliant NATO, perfect chain lineup dash with that Golden Knight, and on top of tower for an arm and a leg's worth of damage.
You can never play the flying machine inside a NATO radius at the end of a game like that. That is just a huge mistake. Shows the inexperience, shows that he's, he's not well versed with how these matchups go, because that is a clear-cut mistake. Allows the Tornado plus the Baby Dragon plus the Golden Knight. Everything's making it to the tower, and in that matchup, nothing should make it to the tower. So huge mistake. Mohamed Light playing it exactly how you need to. How is that? You give yourself a chance. You hope your opponent makes a mistake like that.
Yeah, and that is a huge mistake, and one that I'm really glad that you pointed out, because that NATO, it seems maybe to a lesser player, that moment seems like, well, the NATO and the flying machine didn't really matter because, the NATO pulled the zappies in, and that's how he got on tower. But you talk about that DPS coming in, Mohamed Light being able to focus all of his elixir and all of his attention on one thing and one thing only, that massive amount of value that you're getting. Like you said, it's not just the Baby Dragon and the NATO, and then on the ground, you're talking about the Golden Knight dash, but then even the Golem dying is going to do a lot to that flying machine getting pulled in by the NATO. So like you said, beautiful, beautiful stuff there from Mohamed Light, all hinging on a big time misplay, which is, I'm so glad again that you're here, man, because you say at this level, you cannot make a mistake that big. Whereas for someone like me, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing, but it was really about the Golden Knight and the dash. Interesting stuff here in game number 2.
Yeah, I loved how that game was played overall by Mohamed Light. He didn't get aggressive until he finally had that push, and he even let a flying machine lock onto the tower. Those are the plays that you have to make in those kind of matchups. He did everything right there. And then, yeah, he was just able to piece it together. Zappies do provide value, and I mean, a whole lot of it, especially when paired with the arrows. The arrows provide so much synergy with that deck, but you do need to be constantly throwing up Royal recruits. That's how you win the matchup.
Yes.
You have the zappies, you have the recruits, you have the cage, and just cycle those cards.
Yeah, and that's something that I was mentioning early on in that game, is those recruits should be really difficult for Mohamed Light to have to deal with, in the sense of maybe he isn't able to put together those brilliant pushes and that game-winning push that we saw if he's distracted by defending against the 3 or 4 recruits that go down in the opposite lane. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to game number 3. Mohamed Light on top. Well, we'll say he's got the confidence lead at least right now, but they are tied obviously at 1. This is a best of 3, and we're in game number 3. So Mo Light going with, I believe this is a pretty quick bait deck. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if Barrel's going to be in there as well, but we've seen different iterations of Dark Goblin with cannon and then some beefy unit on the board, and there's the Barrel. Thank goodness.
There we go. Barrel going to get the tower down to 23. Oh, 2246. So heavy damage right there. Depending on what his last 2 cards are, he should be able to defend the Hogs fairly well. It's going to be interesting to see if he goes Snowball or, you know, it could be Log. Either way, I think he's in a good spot. And at this point, you know, if the Archer Queens are played at the bridge, it can be placed. Otherwise, he just should never, ever cycle an Archer Queen in the back.
Yeah, you never want to do that. Never want to give up that rocket value. Fire Spirit not going to do enough. Takes 2 shots from that Dark Goblin. 1984 remaining already to 2196. Mohamed Light has still got about 1,000 HP missing from that tower, but also in a nice lead here.
Yeah, and with Bait, as long as you can sort of stay within their range, that's perfect for you. You want to be able to get the towers down to, you know, 1,000 HP each, and then wait a second, that's a rocket, snowball log. Wow, there we go, pulling out the mirror bait, and I love this deck from Mohamed Light.
I was just going to say, what a brilliant defense from Curry. He got those skeletons cycled early. He paired them perfectly with the snowball. No damage comes in, and a perfectly even trade. But then Mohamed Light busts out the mirror, the first one to do it today. And we'll see how Curry wants to hang and keep up here. As you can see, 1549 to 1716. And now you have to think about that mirror rocket.
So, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but the skeletons in the back pushed the goblin up.
Yeah.
So that way the Fire Spirit was able to hit everything. I thought that was gorgeous right there from Curry. And then right here, the double goblin barrel push gets the tower down, guards on the tower as well, forces out a snowball, and all of a sudden Mohamed Light has a huge lead. Rocket coming down, just needs 1 to win it.
Yep, and yeah, that's an interaction that I've seen a couple times. It's a really hard one to pull off. You drop the skeletons early to push that one goblin, the solo goblin on the top or the back of the tower, up just a half a tile, and then the Fire Spirit's range is able to take them all out. Mohamed Light gives the look to the camera, the fist pump. Curry's still hanging on for dear life, not going to do anything against that rocket. And the best in the world, or second best in the world, and the best both stay alive in our final 2 sets. Mugi and Mo moving on in our upper bracket, and he's showing us is that a math book?
I did see mathematics printed on that front page, so I don't know if he's got some homework after this or what it is. Maybe he's calculating, you know, how much money is going to go to his bank account, you know, starting tomorrow. But either way, great set. You know, just kind of just overpowered his opponent. We don't often see that with CR tournaments, but it just kind of felt like when he got even close matchups, he kind of just steamrolled, and we saw it in Game 3 especially. His opponent just couldn't apply the pressure that he needed to, and it always allowed him to get that double barrel up. You shouldn't be allowing your opponent to do that. You should be defending properly with, you know, Skellies plus Snowball, and then getting these, you know, huge positive elixir trades. Instead, he just kind of took damage and lost.
Mohamed Light, who won a qualifier for the Snapdragon Pro Series already, so you'll be seeing him in those finals for the Europe, Middle East, North Africa region. And of course, he's here in this qualifier, or in this finals today and tomorrow, no matter what happens in this next matchup, against Ta, who's been, again, like we talked about it a lot, almost ad nauseum now, Andrew. Ta's been kind of really proving to a lot of people that he belongs in these conversations.
Yeah, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, if you win a monthly final back in 2021, you are amongst the top 1% in the world, right? Like, Todd doing that, it's not an accident, right? It's not a mistake. You can't get that lucky that many times. I mean, he did have good matchups, but you still got to play through those matchups against top-tier players. So, you know, this is a great place to kind of flex your stuff and see if you have what it takes, or prove that you have what it takes against someone that anytime you beat, right? Whether you beat him on ladder and you post about it on Twitter, if you run into him in GC, you do the same thing. But Ta beating Mo Light in a CRL competition for a golden ticket, this is a great spot for him to remind everyone that he was dominant in 2021, at least for 1 month, which is a lot more than a lot of people in the world can say.
You see the breakdown here. Both of these guys, their most used win condition is the Royal Giant, but EQ versus Poison. And here we go. Our final match of the day, as is going to be Ta top of your screen, Mohamed Light at the bottom. Ta open it up, minor. Picked up easily.
I wish his chair was more golden is the only thing that I'm saying right now about Mohamed Light. That's all.
Josh, are we seeing a classic hog EQ here out of Mo?
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. It looks like classic hog EQ Tesla going against Miner Mortar AQ. This is kind of just two solid overall decks. But, you know, with the hog EQ going against Mortar, always a good situation for you, especially when it's Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart means you have that slower cycle. It's harder to get to the mortars, and then you know, easier to set yourself up in double elixir.
And he's going with a bit of a change-up here, guys, with the Cannon Cart and the Valkyrie. So you talk about that cycle already being slower, Josh, because of the Cannon Cart. Now even slower with both the Cannon Cart and the Valk in play.
And we'll see what sort of answers Ta has for the Firecracker. We have not seen a big spell yet. My assumption at this point is that it's not going to be Fireball, not going to be Poison, or we would have seen those Firecrackers taken care of already with that.
I'm kind of shocked to see Valk and Cannon Cart in the same deck against a player like Mohamed Light, because if you're going against a player that, you know, tends to use heavier decks, then it totally makes sense, because you're trying to take out, you know, the tanks and the support. You know, you can have the Valk for the support, the Cannon Cart for the tank. When you're going against Mohamed Light, you need that quick cycle. You need to be taking out those quick win conditions, and you just don't have that answer.
A lot of damage on the right-hand side. First 2 minutes of gameplay gone, and so he is playing Poison. Maybe now, just he wasn't in an elixir position to do it beforehand, does get that Firecracker off the board. So there are a couple Firecracker answers, which is, when you see a Firecracker on the board, that's always the big danger. And look at that perfect placement. Ta in a risky situation. I just made a short about this on the channel. That perfect Fire Spirit placement to counter the Fire Spirit and let it die and not get damage on tower. I was hoping for the counterplay. But man, that is a high tier and high risk move to pull off in this moment.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful thing to see played there by Ta, showing that he does have those interactions locked. But also, you look at this gameplay, you look at the deck choice with what Josh is saying, and against who you're playing. It's tough, man. I mean, I recognize that he didn't want to use the poison earlier on because he can't make the negative trades. So, you know, he's looking for a way to stay in the match during single elixir. But you look at how heavy this deck is against Mo Light, especially playing this Hog EQ deck. It felt like it was a loss from the start.
And you saw Mo going for the King Tower activation with Skeleton against the board. You can see just how tight that window is to actually pull it off, as someone as great as Mo Light is going to not always pull it off perfectly. Doesn't matter, though. He's still going to go ahead and take that tower. GG, well played. Game number 1 made it look easy. Did Mo, and we're going on to game number 2 with the Prince of Egypt having match point in hand.
Josh, talk to me about this deck choice, man. What is the idea here? What is he looking for? You very, very rarely see Valkyrie and Cannon Cart together, especially in a Mortar deck. You know, he would have really fared better if he had run the more traditional on meta with Fireball, with Log, with the Fire Spirit AQ Valk, I think, at least to keep up with Cycle. What do you think his thought was?
I guess... Okay, I guess the only thing that really makes sense is, you know, if my opponent comes out with a Miner/Miner Mortar deck, you know, that can have a good matchup against it, because you can always have the Valk for the Miner, you can always have the Cannon Cart for the opposing Mortar, and so you can have a good matchup with that. But I'd say 80%, I would say there's probably a 30% chance it was just a misclick, because it really
that's
doesn't
one
make
thing I was
sense.
wondering. Yeah, okay, interesting.
Well, Will, sorry, I was producing at the same time is not as easy as just casting the whole way through. Everyone's like, "Hey, Rich, are you gonna lead the conversation like you're supposed to?" No, I'm moving stuff around the screen, guys. And Mance Raider calling me out. Richard Fisher, as soon as you know he's reading chat. LOL. Yeah, I'm trying to do. I'm casting. I'm producing. I'm directing. I'm cooking eggs off screen right now. You gotta really keep a close eye on those as well. So, cut me some slack, everybody. So, here we go into game number 2. Mo You know what, Andrew? Why don't you lead the final conversations here? Because obviously, I'm on another planet right now.
I got you, man. And I think the comment you pulled was Mo hit us with math facts, man, and I want to learn from the master. And yeah, you saw it there, being on top of the cycle, on top of the elixir count. Sandbox knew that he was way behind. And Josh, when you say that actually about the misclick, it does feel like that makes the most sense, especially because Valkyrie is still really strong and Cannon Cart is one of the strongest cards in the game at the moment. It just seems like a waste of both of those guys. But I guess the upside of it is that he has a fireball available? Question mark.
Yeah, I really don't know how he recovers from that. It doesn't make any sense to take them both out of the play. At this point, I wouldn't mind seeing a game 2. I mean, it really forces your hand where game 2 or game 3 you're going kind of off meta when it comes to, duels format decks. It does force him to go RG. It does force him to go, lava for one of the games. And so, we see Bait. And Bait is really one of those decks that it doesn't overlap with any, none of the cards overlap. Which is why I love Bait in Duelist format. So I do like this as a game number 2 for Tom.
So here we go,
All right.
Game number 2, and a reminder to everybody that this is a match point, but not an elimination point. Mohamed Light with a win in this game would move on to our upper bracket, not the overall match semifinals, but upper bracket semifinals. And of course, if Ta can win too, he would take that place and keep that life in hand. Arrows for Mo, pretty big call in this matchup.
Yeah, Mo gonna go to looking like Lava Miner here with the arrows, so a great matchup. And in terms of things that can kind of keep this Golden Knight at bay of Taz, he's got some good responses. Although those guards just completely missed that cage, so getting some good damage early here on Mo.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Dark Goblin going in front is like a horrible interaction for Ta, and then it ended up getting him an extra 300 or 500 HP worth of damage, and forced out the opposing guards as well. But wow.
Yeah, that's one of those interactions. You talk about unfortunate interactions. Everything was just stacked. Golden Knight, though, will come in and get this pretty close to tied, but now you have 7 on the board on the side of Mohamed Light, and Ta forced to go real low, and that's where those arrows come in. And, man, this is a slobber knocker here in game number 2.
Yeah, they're just going back and forth, spending down to 0, and their opponents just do not have enough to defend adequately almost every single time. So we're doing a lot of min-maxing here as we're getting into double elixir. But Ta in the lead and in a interestingly okay spot, but I'm sure Mo's happy that he's kind of sitting back and looking at a 2-tower game, having this beatdown deck.
Yeah, Mega Minion. Wow. I'm not a huge fan of how he separated the barrels. I feel like maybe we go level 13 on the left side because you kind of need that damage overall. Obviously, it's a weird spot, but he's just in such a weird position at this point. I don't know how he comes back.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and the second Lava Hound there in the pocket. It feels like Ta's playing... wow. And you see Mohamed Light go, what the heck just happened?
Oh my God. Mo can't believe it. He's looking like someone just took, I don't even have words. He's looking like someone just told him that he doesn't get to have a birthday party this year. That's the craziest ending we could have possibly imagined. Golden Knight goes in huge, and Mo cannot believe it.
A perfectly timed barrel, a horribly placed building for Mohamed Light, and a big-time steal of game number 2 there from Ta. That was absolutely nuts. You saw Mo talking to his analyst, looking at the game. He even looked up at the camera just going, what just happened? And that's crazy stuff there, man. Josh, what are you thinking about that?
I mean, look, in these instances, what I always do is, at the end of a game when I have it confirmed, I play poorly on purpose. I place buildings too high. I defend for an extra minute and a half when I could have cycled Earthquakes twice. I am fully okay with taking my time to confirm a victory. Right there, if he just places the cage 3 tiles too high, he doesn't have to worry about it getting onto the crown tower. It's not necessarily the greatest way to do it, but you have these times where you have that 0.08% chance of victory and you actually get the victory.
You know, Mance Raider bringing up a really good question here in the YouTube chat. Was that chain position, I think Mo was surprised by the Golden Knight chaining. Is it possible that was a true red, true blue situation?
I don't know. It's really tough to say in that instance because it looked like it just might be close enough to the tower, and that's one of the interesting thing with the larger buildings and that Golden Knight dash. But it does feel like it could be because Mohamed Light is not a guy to make mistakes like that. And you can see, no, I mean that's not the right spot, right? It needs to be 1 tile higher, I think.
I mean, that Golden. I'm playing Golden Knight full time right now, and that Golden Knight dash felt long, but. Also, you know, if I did that myself, I'd be like, well, I'm brilliant. That was obviously how great I am that Golden Knight just did that long dash. So I don't know. Maybe that's a normal dash, says Derek Payton. Yeah, but James Well says it should never hit the tower. That's perfect placement. So we're getting completely different points of views in the chat right now.
Just back-to-back comments right there. Should have never hit the tower. Perfect. Nah, that's normal.
I feel like that's just the internet summed up in 2 perfect YouTube comments right there.
Well, here we go. Game number 3.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and see if I can pull the full decks up, although I'm sure Josh already has it in his brain here. Mohamed. That's Mohamed Light.
I mean, he was doing a great job with that Lava Hound deck, and I like that he went something a little different, a little heavier. You saw the second lava coming down in the pocket. He was even working for the 3 crown. It was just a crazy, mad dash there by Ta that ended up working out phenomenally.
Josh, here's the thing I want to bring up now, and it's a rarity. We're going into Game 3. Mo hasn't used a champion. Mo used classic Royal Hog, classic Hog EQ in Game 1. Used a pretty classic variation of Lava Miner in Game 2. And on the other side of it, Golden Knight and Archer Queen both out for Ta. Now, I don't know if Jules is on the payroll today. I don't know who is in the corner of Mo, if he's deck picking, if it's Jules, if it's somebody else. But if you're working in Mo's corner, how happy are you about this situation in Game 3 from a deck picking perspective? And is there a direction you're going with all 4 champions on the board for you and down to just Skeleton King and Mighty Miner on the other side?
I'm not really worried about the Mighty Miner. So at that point, he's really only worried about the Skeleton King. You know, we can see. Let me see.
But I feel like he's got to play AQ in this game for Mohamed Light. Sorry to cut you off, Josh.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Skeleton King can't be with Mortar, so I'm not really that worried about it overall. I would have to agree with Andrew that, you know, you just use a strong deck with Archer Queen, and you're probably gonna have a pretty good matchup. Maybe like an MK Lightning deck would be an interesting choice from Ta.
And I was about to say that is Lightning almost a must pick now going into game number 3 for Ta.
Yeah, I believe it allows you to have a good enough matchup against a wide variety of decks, especially because you don't have to worry about Hog anymore.
And I really think as we hop into game number 3 that, like, you know, Mohamed Light playing an entire set, and if he ends up losing the set, which, you know, is still a lot of time here in these next 5 minutes, but it's more so about the idea that you didn't use any of the champions would be just, I think, a huge misplay. And there we go. AQ does come down. I think she still does feel like the strongest champion, especially in this situation, looking to win those bridge battles and looking to probably go against Skeleton King, which is exactly what we're seeing.
AQ down and Fishboy to help protect, keep her in pretty good shape. And a nice split here. Archer Queen to the right, Royal Giant to the left, with the support of the Fishboy, and the Snowball takes care of those bats, so no more bats on there. This is interesting. There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of difficulty in both directions. Cage, Zappies, both certainly strong against Royal Giant. On the other side of things, it feels like there's not really any good answer for Archer Queen so far, Josh.
Yeah, especially with this kind of a lead, you know, the Snowball is going to be pretty effective against bats. So, I mean, if he makes it to double Elixir with, you know, an actual solid graveyard push, it could be scary for Mohamed Light. But he just has so many options available to him. The Fisherman can always yank the Skeleton King away. I don't really see him being able to build the correct push, and I think this is just way too aggressive. I don't think there's any chance that you get a lot of damage, and the only thing it does is set yourself up for failure. You know, we talk a lot about, you know, setting yourself up for success. Right there, there's just no way that gets any damage.
Yeah, and there's no way that you don't see Mohamed Light go on the heavy offensive with the counter push. I mean, even if he just gets a lot of elixir out of it, you'll see here, they're even, but he has a healthy AQ on the board, and that Archer Queen has already been the reason that tower's down to 1927, to go back to what you were saying, Rich, about just like not having the correct responses or not having adequate responses for that AQ.
Setting up the Ghost to the left-hand side is Mohamed Light as the Skeleton King comes down in reply. And both players kind of poking and prodding in both lanes, trying to figure out who's going to cycle the wrong thing into the wrong place. And right now, a big push on the left-hand side, but no tank for this graveyard here. So this should be just an E-Spirit, there you go, and the Royal Ghost to clean up, and it does nicely.
Yeah, that was such a nice bar barrel. I think that's what got the wow out of you as well, Josh, to turn that Skeleton King around, give us no tank, and make that graveyard really easily defendable.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, we're all saying the same thing there. Mo sat on that fireball until the exact moment when Ta thought, hey, maybe he's not playing fireball. Maybe it's lightning. And just absolute shred job. And just like that, Mohamed Light up 799 to closest tower is 2508. Real problems now for Ta here in sudden death.
The mental game that Mohamed Light plays is always one of the most impressive things to watch in his gameplay. The games that he makes his opponent have to think through, the mental gymnastics that he makes them go through, and you see already just putting the hurt on with that brilliant fireball.
And the Spirit there to help out the Fish Boy. Go ahead.
Keeping the Archer Queen alive is pretty valuable. Gets those last couple shots, and then that's just one more push that he doesn't have to worry about. 120 left, and he's had no successful pushes so far. He's played the graveyard twice, and both times it was just cleaned up without any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah, and that second graveyard push was... Yeah, I was just going to say that second graveyard push to kind of go off what Josh is saying, and actually to kind of tie it into what you're saying, Rich, is just like the graveyards have not been supported the correct way. He's not giving enough respect to his opponent, and it's because he's been able to do such a great job with that Electro Spirit that you said, Rich. The Electro Spirit plus that Royal Ghost have been so effective.
Does not quite get that shot off on the right-hand side. Final 40 seconds here, and now this is the big push for Ta. He does get the Skeleton King into tank, but the bats, Snowball trying to clear out. This could get a little bit of damage here, and not going to put him back in. Wait, maybe I'm wrong here. Fireball comes in, Skeletons all over it, and just like that,
goodness.
We are almost tied up. 22 seconds. Graveyard back in one more time. Snowball to support again, slowing down that tower. Bar Barrel has to come out. Royal Giant opposite direction, 678 to 799. Look at the Royal Ghost and the Fish Boy, though. Royal Ghost Fish Boy on the top left-hand side, and Mohamed Light takes it. GG, well played. Ta made the best of best efforts. Does not matter. The Prince of Egypt reigns supreme.
And you see Mohamed Light there kind of sucking his teeth at the end going, oh my God, that game almost slipped out of my hands just like game number 2. Ta almost pulls off the reverse sweep. Great stuff there from both sides. Obviously, both these guys still in the competition. Mohamed Light stays in that upper bracket. We're going to have an incredible upper bracket. I believe he's going to be going up against Assaf. There it is. Ooh. Mohamed Light and Assaf, Mugi and Arden Toa. So you've got the old and the new in both of those matchups at the top of the board.
You know, the Assaf is known primarily as a drill player. Probably the best, but not really an argument, the best drill player in the game. We've seen some variation from him, though, this weekend. What are some things you want to see or expect to see out of Assaf in this matchup against Mo?
Let's see. What do I expect? I expect drill. I want to see him using his best decks. I think drill doesn't match up horribly against a player like Mohamed Light, where he's going to be running quick cycle. And right here, we do see lava. I like that first. Well, going against Hunter could make it a little bit more difficult. And especially when it throws out the well played, I want to say it could... Okay, I was going to say it could potentially even be something like 3 Musketeers Hunter. Instead, the Inferno Dragon will clean up the Giant Skeleton nicely. And I like that he just lets it roam free. He needs to get this push going in the beginning, and I like this push.
And now splitting the lanes here with the Miner plus Inferno Dragon to the left. Balloon uncontested to the right-hand side. E-Spirit to slow the damage down here a little bit, but while first blood drawn by Mohamed Light, first big shots here by Assaf, taking that lead right-hand tower down to 892 as we go past the first minute of play.
Yeah, huge opening push from Assaf right there. Balloon opposite lane, great. Doesn't even get the King Tower activated when the Fisherman was played. And yeah, he's in a great spot. Inferno Dragon, I mean, obviously he was okay if the Giant Skeleton gets to the Crown Tower. At the end of the day, you still have to build your push. But the Inferno Dragon was played exactly how it needs to. It gets the Giant Skeleton off the board just in time. And right there, I mean, just strong opening push. Depends what his next two cards are, but, you know, had he have something like Flying Machine, he would be in a really good spot. Otherwise, still in an okay one.
And Miner going right to the Hunter, trying to clear out the path. Giant Skeleton will help with the cleanup a little bit here, but, and again, same game plan here. You know, you play against Lava Loon players so much of the time, and it's just Lava, Balloon, same lane, but Assaf is showing that next level of, you know, it hurts to say it a little bit, that next level of Lava gameplay, which is that split lane pressure and getting a real nice lead here, 45 seconds left. Keep in mind, everybody watching at home, this is not an elimination game, so not elimination match. Both of these players have a life to give, so the loser will go into the elimination bracket and stay in the tournament. But man, the advantage you get as a winner would be huge, and right now, Assaf feeling pretty darn good about himself.
Yeah, he should lose this tower right here. Miner will be played almost perfectly. It would have been perfectly if the RG doesn't get that last shot, but he can't stop these pushes. He's getting so much damage every time he plays the Loon.
Earthquake in to take that tower down. Now things do get a little different here, Josh, as we go into our sudden death overtime period. 1271, certainly lots of damage, but the damage from Assaf is so much slower than that Pocket RG. And there you go, see Pocket Giant Skeleton here as well. A lot of danger here for Assaf.
Especially if you're going to miss the kite right there. Inferno Dragon will be able to walk, but even just an RG in the pocket, I like this pressure. He needs to be doing that. Barbs placed in the pocket. Can he stop this? E-Spirit will not jump onto it, and that could be towered down. Who knows?
That bomb down to 222. This next exchange is going to be massive. Now Miner goes to the inside corner. Hunter goes to the front to pick up. Balloon now, same direction, but Hunter's going to stop that Balloon. Can that Balloon get close enough? No, it cannot. And Assaf here. That was actually in range? Are you kidding me? I thought Assaf had just given up the game to Mohamed Light. I think Mo thought the same thing as well. And instead, we are going to game number 2 with match point going towards Assaf.
That is, look, he makes one mistake. And yes, the mistake is letting a Giant Skeleton onto your Crown Tower. That's pretty massive.
Yeah.
But Loon at the bridge, Pocket Barbarians, beautifully timed zaps, E-Spirit not connecting to the Loon when it's making its chain. A lot of things were happening, and Assaf was just putting himself in a position to win. The Loon in the pocket, I just want to ask the question, did he know that it was going to be able to hit the tower? When it died, I know everybody in the world was thinking that it wasn't going to make it to the tower. Death damage was not going to be there. But it was. I'm shocked that it hits right there.
So here we go through the final chunks. You see everything get tied up. 2:22 left, and you can see. I guess we're gonna go. Yeah, they're gonna give us a couple looks at this one. So the Miner gets picked up by the Hunter, just like perfect pick. And that's a 50-50 game, right? Miner either goes to the back and you miss it, or goes to the front 2 spots and you pick it up. That Royal Giant on tower, and it's so close, but man. That bomb, I guess, just got close enough, and that caught everybody by surprise. So, crazy finish. I can see chat going nuts on all the different chats. Just can't even. Let's see what you got here. Yes, sir. What was that? Someone saying Mo is so unlucky. Let's see. Wow. Yeah, I always like a good wow here. Rage quit says Clash Shorts. Yep, I understand that. We've all definitely made the rage quit there. Along what? Yeah. That's all the things you're feeling right now are the right feelings, and that's why Clash Royale is a game that you can't put down. That's why you got to keep on playing, is because things like that happen all the time.
Yeah, my heart hurts for Mohamed Light to lose it in that fashion. I mean, gosh, that is, it's just the fact that it ends that way. I love the aggression, and I mean, both players played it right. He defends with the Hunter on top of the Miner. You know, potentially if he goes the Hunter 2 tiles to the right, who knows? Maybe he gets that damage just a little bit faster. There's always something to improve on with your gameplay. Even Mohamed Light can make mistakes, and I'm not saying it was a mistake, but I'm saying potentially just, you know, 1 tile placement off to the side could have changed the entire result. And yeah, I mean, just another reason why you should love Clash Royale.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you talk about mistakes changing that game, and the mistakes were really on Assaf's side with getting caught flat-footed against that giant skeleton and giving the full giant skeleton death bomb onto that tower. I mean, if you don't have that in the mix, then you don't have a game anywhere near as close as this one. So that certainly opened up the door a whole lot. Man, that was a back and forth. That's what you hope to see from 2 great players. And my big question here: Mo's been here a million times. He's been down. He's taken bad losses. Even though he wears his emotions on his face a little bit, we've never seen him have difficulty regrouping. It's not like he comes back and plays worse after a brutal loss like that. He stays dialed in. I'm very curious about the nerves on Assaf's side with so much on the line right now. A win here, a win in this next game, puts him so far ahead of the pack in terms of having a chance to make that money to qualify for the World Finals. Man, this is going to be a very curious game number 2.
And there we go, game number 2, starting it off with Drill. I love this deck choice from him. It's going to be interesting to see. I want to talk about Lava. The reason why I like it so much, yes, it's strong. Yes, it just beat Mohamed like game number 1. And he made mistakes at the same time. He won while making mistakes. That's not something you often see against Mohamed Light. But on the flip side, you're also allowing yourself a ton of freedom. You've only used Zap. You've only used arrows. How many decks have Inferno Dragon in it? Not very many. And so it allows game 2 freedom, and then game 3, you still will have spells available to you. I love this. And then Mohamed Light, on the other hand, using SK Mortar, I love that as well.
So Assaf is known as top drill player in the world, continuously making top finishes on ladder, and went on a run last year of 4 finishes in a row that were all, I think it was 7, 3, 5, and 2, 4 months in a row as a drill player. So certainly phenomenal with this card in his hand. The big question here is what's the primary counter here from Mo? I feel like if this game is close going into triple elixir, that we're going to see a lot of drill plus fireball pushes to kind of try to just immediately counter the responses that Mo has to that drill.
Yeah, and right here, Minion Horde in this matchup will be getting a lot of value. The Minion Horde placed on top of the troops, on top of the Archer Queen, on top of the Valk, is always going to get value because you're trying to make those drill fireball pushes. That is your win condition. That's how you get damage on top of the tower. So that allows the freedom for the Minion Horde to get so much value every time it's placed on the board, because you need that fireball for offense, and now you can only use it for defense.
Mo, at one point known as a mortar player, and of course you're seeing the mortar miner skills come out here on the right-hand side, double dropping Skarmy plus bats on that Archer Queen, because he knew that the log was the only real counter for that he had for those small troops. So Skarmy goes down, bats continue with the job. Here we go into the final 25 seconds of regulation play, and Mohamed Light putting on absolute pressure. Fireball to the right, and Skeleton King Skellies will not get the tower on the left, but the lead still remains for the Egyptian. 2007 on the right-hand tower, 10 seconds left in regulation.
Forcing out the guards in response instead of the mortar. You know you have your opponent in a bind when that's the response. Right there, Dark Goblin picking apart everything, taking it all out, and providing the Skeleton King with more deaths into it. And the Skeleton King getting a lot of value right there. Archer Queen will clean it up nicely, though. I expected a little bit more damage on the Archer Queen, So it's a good interaction for Assaf for it to still be at 85% health.
And she's going to force out Bats, but not get much more than that. Miner to the right-hand side. Valk in the back. Guards up high, all trying to catch. No catches available, though. 90 seconds left, and this is where we start seeing whether or not Assaf is able to really put the pressure on. So far, though, he's been on the back foot the entire way. Drill with the log. Prediction doesn't get much damage, though.
And Archer Queen will be able to pop its ability, but will it be enough? Valk on top will clean it up all nicely, but the Bats are going to put in work. It's still going to take out their Archer Queen. It's still going to take out the support, so he can't make any type of counter push. Mohamed Light is playing this so well, although, and then there we, oh my goodness, that is an unlucky interaction. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That was tough to watch.
Drill, Archer Queen in, Bass on the left-hand side. Fireball trying to make room, and he tried to predict the minion horde on the Archer Queen, but Mo goes low with the minion horde, so that's a wasted Fireball. That was a moment that was going to change this game one way or the other, and it might have just sealed the deal in Game 2 for Mohamed Light.
You have 45 seconds left. What are you going to do? You have one opportunity. It's, can I predict this minion horde? At the same time, Mohamed Light knows that. There's a reason why he's considered the best. He places the minion horde off to the side. I love that play from Assaf. The Skeleton King was in the back. He could have gone in with a predictive log as well. You got to give yourself a chance. I love that he did that, but Mohamed Light, too smart, too talented.
Yep. And that's exactly it. Mohamed just a step ahead. And that's where you start getting, you talk about the layers and the levels to this game overall. When you get into the prediction, counter prediction game, right? It's, I know what you know, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to play that next extra step ahead. And that's what we just saw right there. That was a swing moment. If Mo plays that minion horde on the Archer Queen, Fireball gets it for the +1 trade. AQ starts getting more room for the tower. We might be talking, I mean, you can't say that it would definitely turn the tide of the game all the way around, but most certainly would have opened up a big opportunity for Assaf.
Yeah, and I mean, that's all you can ask for when you have that kind of matchup. The Minion Horde, I talked so negatively about it in the previous, when it was previously used. Right there, it's showing why it's in the deck. When you get that kind of matchup, when your opponent does have the Archer Queen, they do have the Valk, it gets so much value. Even though Fireball's on the board, it forces them to choose. Do I want to use it on the Minion Horde? Do I want to use it on offense? And, sometimes it just puts them in such a bind where they use it on nothing, as we saw at the end of the game.
And yeah, that was the thing that we saw there. So game number 3 coming up next. It's not an elimination game. Again, reminder, folks, there's an upper and lower bracket. The winner here moves one step further down that upper bracket. The loser would go down and drop into the lower bracket. Now I'm going to go ahead and look up the bracket here in just a moment so I can actually figure out the precise matchups that we would be seeing in that case. But man, this is a tight one. Josh, thoughts on what you expect to see here in game number 3?
So let's see. So Drill Fireball is out for Assaf. He can't use Lava. The other side, he can't use Minor Mortar. And then game. What did Mo use game 1?
What did Mo use game 1? That I don't remember. I do want to say though that as a reminder to clarify this, winner is guaranteed top 3 of this next game. So this next game is I think Andrew knows the exact prize pool. I know it's like I think it's like 30-20-10 or something like that, or 30-15-5. I don't remember.
30-15-5.
Yeah, so this is a $5,000 game of Clash Royale coming up next. The winner is guaranteed to make it into the top 3. So this is a $5,000 best of 1 coming up next.
Yeah, that's brutal. And yes, Mohamed Light did use RG. So RG taken out as well. There's still a lot available to both players. Assaf, man, it's so difficult. Assaf using Dark Goblin already. I wouldn't mind seeing Bait be used. I think Bait is always going to be, a deck that can provide a lot of value. Although I will say, going against Mohamed Light with Bait is kind of worrisome. A lot of the decks he uses, we've seen him pull out the Hog Valkyrie, Firecracker deck in game 1 without using the hero. So using it against Mohamed Light is pretty scary. And he might be the only player where I say bait is not the correct play.
Double bait with mirror, or bait with mirror, will be fascinating here out of Assaf. Mohamed Light, you can see on the left-hand side, RG was the original deck played. Log, EQ both out, arrows out, so guessing Fireball here is part of this minor wall breakers, or this drill wall breakers deck.
And then I'm always a fan of drill being used in comp. I think so much of the time you're at least getting a 50-50. We saw in game 2, not always the case, but for the most part, it does have a lot of great, it does have a lot of great matchups. Right there, uses the delivery as well as the Skarmy. You're spending 6 elixir for 4, but also allowing the Magic Archer to stay alive and also allowing for it to get value. You don't have the right answer. You have to use the mirrored Royal delivery, and it allows one wall breaker to connect on the opposite lane.
So decent damage here for Mo in the opening moments. Same mark on both sides, 26-35. As so far the towers of the Prince of Egypt untouched in both lanes. And that's the expectation that he might be up against NATO, which is why you saw Assaf go to the outside on that one. NATO could certainly be the last card here. And there you go. What a play by Mohamed Light. That NATO was absolutely clean. So Assaf had the right read, and his opponent uses it to absolutely decimate that defense and get a huge bunch of damage on that left-hand tower.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not a fan of this deck choice for game number 3. I just don't think it's ever the answer to use bait going against Mohamed Light. I think he's too talented. Too many of his decks match up well. And yeah, this game was pretty much, I mean, obviously definitely not over, but both his towers are under 2,000 HP. He's only done 600 HP in total, and he's playing a brilliant game. The Valk on top of all the goblins from the Goblin Barrel, and then the Valk on the opposite lane with the next barrel was able to catch them all when he played it in the back middle. So he's just playing too clean a game. This looks like this could be game over.
That was a nice bit of drill of Mighty Miner work to clean up the wall breakers and get some work on that Magic Archer. But this delivery not going to be enough to stop those goblins hitting him. Man, this is the drill consistently getting touches for Mohamed Light as well. This looks like it's all sewn up. King Tower activation. And Assaf just needs to mentally regroup and get ready for his lower bracket fight.
Yeah, Mohamed Light all but guaranteed at this point. And the thing is, with Mohamed Light, he does it every once in a while. But, you know, he's one of those players where you don't even need to tell him to, you know, play safe. He's just going to play perfect throughout the match right there. Cleans it up nicely, doesn't get too aggressive, uses the NATO well, and takes the tower.
And rough outing for Assaf, but we've said that about a lot of people who play up against Mohamed Light. Prince of Egypt, now guaranteed prize pool, minimum 5K for one of the longtime best players in the game. Some would say the GOAT, definitely the BOAT. No questions there. And he'll be facing off against the winner of Mugi and Arden Toas. So we're a lot of people are now rooting. Even if you're an Arden Toas fan, it seems like you got to be rooting for Mugi to win this one, just so we see at least one, if not more, matchups between Mo and Mugi.
Right. It's weird to be rooting for a player, but you're 100% correct. If there's one person that talented players will want to win, it's Mohamed Light. He will always be the guy that's, you know, in that top 3, that top 4, that top 16 every single time. Whether he wins it or whether he wins after round 2, it is up to, you know, what happens that day. But when it comes to competing in that final phase, he will be there almost, if not every single time. And so it does make sense to root for him. And it's a sick feeling when you're rooting against, or when you're rooting for the best player in the world to win.
Yep.
But it is the correct play. So that's so weird, and that's such a good point.
Yeah, and then you think about that for Mohamed Light, and you look at, maybe you talk about Samuel Basoto last month, and you're like, you know what? I know who all these people are happy are not here today and this weekend is Samuel Basoto, because he played lights out last month, but he probably looked at the global tournament and was like, I don't really need a golden ticket. So here we go. Game number 1, upper bracket semifinals. 71% on one side, a better 74% on the side of Arden Toas, the consensus number 1 player, bottom of your screen. Arden Toas here at the top. This is going to be a fun one.
So, Arden Toas starting off with the most obnoxious play you could possibly make as a minor wall breakers player, splitting the wall breakers and then placing the miner in the middle of the arena. I hate when players do that to me.
I hate it so much.
It forces out the Tesla. Brilliant spot, and at this point, like, it's a decent push. It's not too worrisome, but, you know, if it takes out the Musketeer, this could spell trouble for him. Tesla is going to be forced out, and, you know, the way he's playing, just brilliant offensive, you know, push early on, and then a great way to just reset.
I really do like the aggression here from Arden Toas, but I love that defense there from Mohamed Light. That is when you know interactions of this game inside and out, uses the hog to push the wall breakers towards that Tesla that is out of range. You saw Arden Toas go for that connection, does get a connection here with the Bandit, but that was just pretty, and that also gave Mohamed Light the lead.
Yeah, that is a fun play. I love those kind of plays. You can learn so much from these talented players because they make those plays that you wouldn't really think of. You would kind of just say, all right, let me use my log. All right, let me use my fire spirit. And when you don't have that in your hand, what's that next move? What's that one thing that sets you apart? Mohamed Light just does that so consistently. That's why he has so many fans. That's why he's such a special player.
Yeah, the ability to turn those kind of dire situations into real offense really shines through at the highest level, because then you're talking about, you know, late game making moves like that, making swerves like that, keeping your opponents guessing at all times. So I love to see it. I always love to see that stuff out of Mo, and here we go. 2080 to 2491, the two lowest towers on either side of the board. Miner plus Arrow is going to go right on top of that Musketeer to try to turn this into a little bit of offense. Bomb will go off, but a healthy Prince is there. Guards and Tesla to clean it all up.
The arrows, I understand our prediction, and so had they worked, you know, maybe he takes tower. Who really knows? But at the end of the day, it's not really a prediction you can afford to make. Mohamed Light is going to play slow, calculated every single time, and so he understands, like, in those situations, he has to let the Musketeer die. It's not up for debate. The correct move is, I need to reset, I need to let my Musketeer die. So not a huge fan of that prediction. You know, oftentimes it'll work, just not against someone like him.
Beautiful Fire Spirit there to kite this Prince around, then a Hog to take that shot in. Prince goes to the Tesla, then goes to the Hog, baits out this, or I should say, yeah, it does bait out the Mega Knight. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, a Log plus an Earthquake to defend those wall breakers that came in. Just immaculate stuff here from Mohamed Light. One of the best in the world, if not the best, at the micro, and we're seeing that really shine through in this game. 80 seconds remain.
I like this defense right there. Gonna stop the Giant Skeleton from pushing, but the Hog will still get that shot. The Giant Skeleton will still get the value. It'll still take out the Bandit. And a Musketeer is not the most difficult card to defend when it's on the offensive tack by itself. So I like the idea right there. But at this point, he has to do something special. This is one of the few times where I'll be an advocate for playing cute. He needs to come up with something crazy. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly the way to put it, man. He's got to do something crazy. He's got to do something cute, because you cannot go into this kind of monotonous, cyclical game with Mohamed Light, because he's always making better exchanges than you. He's always playing more methodical and playing smarter than you. He's always keeping that offense out on the board. 600 HP separating these two, but bigger spell power on the side of Mohamed Light. Two Musketeers on the board, and now a Desperation Mega Knight opposite lane with wall breakers behind.
I mean, he can't do anything. You know, this is, again, another matchup from Mega Knight where you're going into the game and kind of just losing. It's not the right card to use right now, and it's unfortunate to say because I love Mega Knight gameplay, but you can't bring that out in game number 1.
And you see Mo just feeling himself now. The big exhale and now a little bit of love to the camera, to his fans. The smile, the clap, the silly faces. He's feeling great about himself. And how could he not? I mean, you talk about what he's doing in ESL and now what we're currently witnessing here in this competition with Queso Cup Golden Edition. One step closer to a guaranteed $15,000 is Mohamed Light. I mean, what is there to say? He's done it now 2 sets in a row. Yes, with the Assaf, it was later in the set where we saw it, and now it's earlier in the set where we're seeing it. Playing up against someone who's great, but just straight up outplaying them, outclassing them.
Yeah. And you know, deck choice on point as well. I think that might be my favorite deck of the tournament. Even
Really?
more so than, you know, the Firecracker Drill synergy, because, you know, I enjoy that deck, but at the same time, it might not be the strongest. We need to see it against, you know, a wider array of decks. That deck right there, the guards are so strong. Tesla, so strong. Giant Skeleton, we're seeing it get so much value every time it gets played. I think that's my favorite deck of the tournament, and to use that game 1, get that solid victory, and leave Fireball and Poison available, I love what he did there.
And I love the decision making of pros at the highest level. The Giant Skeleton seems like a brain dead duh situation, right? Like every single time you saw Mo play that Giant Skeleton, he basically played it in the same spot on the map, off to the left, four tiles ish in front of the King Tower, and it would slowly walk up to the bridge in time and then blow up everything that was coming across to support those Mega Knight pushes. It's just so impressive when you watch someone that is that confident in what a card is going to do. We saw him be on top of all these interactions throughout that game, but the Giant Skeleton is not as easy to use as effectively as we've seen these pros use it this weekend, and especially what we saw in that last game there with Mo. And then as we're talking about game number 2 here, Josh, I think you've called it perfectly. I think that's every single game today that we've seen Mega Knight played, the Mega Knight user has lost. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, if it has been played 4 times, it is lost 4 times. If it is played 5 or more, I cannot confirm.
Cannot confirm or deny. So here we go. Game number 2, Mohamed Light on top. Arden coming back out here, looking like he could maybe go Hogs. There they are. And Hogs do come down for that 3-1 split. 3 to the right side, 1 in front of that AQ. So AQ will just need a little bit more attention. But a minion horde coming out for Mohamed Light. Second time he's used it, I think, today.
Wow, still forces out the bomb tower in response when he uses the mortar just directly on top of the Archer Queen. So unfortunate for Arden that he felt that he had to do that. Right there, up a little bit of damage. But, you know, I think Mohamed Light is proving me wrong again. I said that Minion Horde is not really the strongest card. There's too many matchups where it doesn't get a lot of value. And I think we're going to see in this matchup again, it's going to give value over again, you know, time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, and a big part of that Minion Horde is that because it's so expensive, players either don't want to play it because they're too worried about giving too much value away, or they're not as good as Mo Light at tracking Elixir and tracking Cycle. And that's what Minion Horde really, or when Minion Horde really excels, is when your opponent is out of Cycle for the best response. Minion Horde can make you really, really overspend. And he's going to be trying to do that. Now we see Royal Deliveries out of Cycle, right? So that means the Minion Horde could be a little bit more effective if he's able to deal with that Fire Spirit.
Nice little push right there, allows the miner to get on top of the tower and takes the damage advantage. And Royal Hogs played when the Spear Goblins haven't crossed the bridge. A slight mistake, and that's going to be a Royal Hogs push. This might be the first time in history a Royal Hogs push against no building and didn't get any damage whatsoever.
Yeah, and then you saw that bomb tower, Arden thinking that he's smarter than Mohamed Light, which I get that you have to kind of play that way. Those skeletons getting some value. But you saw that bomb tower come down up high looking for the mortar that Mohamed Light had been playing in defense. And now we see another bomb tower up high to make sure that mortar can't come down again. And I feel like Mo is going to be able to change or flip the script here pretty quickly.
Right, an error from Mohamed Light, that was kind of a strong error. Like he placed the Valkyrie, I can't tell if it was one tile off to the side or multiple tiles off to the side. Either way, allows the Royal Hogs to not only get the tower down fairly low, but also allows him to be able to go opposite lane. That way Mohamed Light can't overwhelm by, you know, having that one strong defense into offense, he now can only go, you know, the specific minor snowballs, the specific minor poisons.
We see Arden Toas trying to predict that minor again on Mohamed Light. Mohamed Light comes in late, and Arden Toas knows it's good game in the sense that Mo has kind of locked down this defense without having to use his mortar, and he's figured out a way to create great offense. Spear Goblin pressure, and then minor plus poison when he has the elixir, or just naked minors. He's got this game kind of completely controlled as you want with a deck like this.
Archer Queen is going to be able to take out the minion horde for the most part, but Valkyrie plus Snowball, we're going to see it again right there. Keeps the tower fairly healthy, but Arden Toas on the other side, 925 and 690 heading into triple. Mohamed Light is just going to spam minor poisons at this point, and he just can't do anything to stop it.
And there it is. Minor Poison comes in. Minion Horde defensively. What are you going to do to take care of the Minion Horde? Nothing. You have absolutely nothing to take care of the Minion Horde when it's on the opposing side of the board. Mo just waiting to get that Minor back out. He has the AQ on the board for defense. Minor plus Poison comes in, and that is basically going to sew things up. You're going to need one more spell to come in. There it is. Momo going to the grand finals. $15,000 guaranteed to the Prince of Egypt. 30 or 15 more hopefully coming his way. And now Arden Toas has to do the most difficult thing that there usually is in a competition like this. It's go from being in the semifinals of the upper bracket to the finals of the lower bracket back to back after losing.
And Arden moves himself into the grand final where he has a chance. He has to do it twice, though, because Mohamed Light has not lost yet. He's going to have to beat Mo twice in this matchup, back-to-back best of threes, to make his way into that golden ticket, into that guaranteed World Finals berth. But, man, for the moment, what a chance to celebrate here. $15,000 is certainly no small chunk of change, and, of course, now he has a shot at absolute glory.
Yeah, and now he gets to worry about, oh my goodness, I have to beat him 2 sets in a row. Yeah. Now, you know, he's locked up the 15,000. He can be, you know, proud of his performance, but, you know, obviously we don't want to be just proud. We want to be ecstatic. We want to have everybody chanting our name, you know, walking off the field with everybody, you know, with you on everybody's shoulders. And so at this point, this is when you realize, okay, how do I set it up where my opponent can't predict what I'm doing? How do I set it up where I'm leaving a lot of, you know, options available to me in a game 2, a game 3 situation? This is where it all matters.
Well, of course, now that we're getting down to the big stuff, let's go ahead and bring back on the third member of our team, Andrew Guy. Andrew, here we are. We're at the finals.
Yep.
Is this the matchup you expected? I mean, on one hand, Mohamed Light, it's old hat at this point. People are annoyed by his greatness, which is almost kind of crazy to talk about. Arden Toas, though, man, a guy who looked like a potential, at the end of last year, looked like one of the top incoming rookies, and right here he's paying off the promise.
You know, I remember watching him for the first time last season at the highest level and being really, really excited about what he was going to do in CRL, in the competitive clash scene, and he has not disappointed. I just think that if you're coming into a set, off of a set where you went 0-2 against the guy you're about to play, you want to make it back. But what Arden needs to do is just play what he's been playing all weekend long. Don't try to overextend yourself. Don't try to make a point here. Don't try to make a big moment. Just play Clash Royale, get to that second set, and then that's when you can maybe start to be a little tricky, a little cute, as Josh likes to say. I think it's near impossible to beat Mohamed Light in back-to-back sets in a grand final, especially when you've already faced him and he swept you. But Arden Toas has been incredibly impressive. I probably would have put my money on Faust in that previous set just based off the way that he'd played. Even though Arden 2-0'd Mugi, I just felt like Faust had proved so much. And then Arden, again, impresses me. So I'm really excited for this. I just think it's pretty dang near impossible to beat him, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's many have tried, few have succeeded, and now we're getting down to the wire here, where we're going to give away a golden ticket, a trip right to the World Finals. Josh, we already have one golden ticket finalist settled, and that's your former teammate Samuel Basoto. You know, I don't think Sam even competed in this event. I don't even know if he tried to qualify, but you know, I'm kind of curious about the weight off the shoulders of qualifying early on that and how that relates to the pressure these two guys might face here.
Yeah, you know, trying to lock it in, trying to get that. I mean, really, it's not a $15,000 match. Really, this is a potential $100,000 match, potential $50, $75, $250,000 match. And you don't know how many chances you get. When you're someone like Arden Toas, like, this could be your one shot. And so, you know, for Mohamed Light, who knows? He could be back here, you know, in 2 weeks. We could easily see that happening. Arden Toas, there is a real chance this is his shot.
Well, let's kick that shot off right as we jump into game number 1. Mohamed Light, also known as the Prince of Egypt. Why? Well, he's Egyptian and he sits on a golden chair. And look at the background. I mean, also he wins everything. So what else are you going to call him at this point? And Arden now in a big uphill climb. We've mentioned it many times before now. It's time for him to get started.
Mohamed Light decides to go hyper aggressive at the start of this game. As soon as he gets to 10, he goes Hoggy split in the middle. Arden Toas drops that Fisherman right on top of his King Tower, but is not able to get the activation. So maybe already feeling a little bit of nerves going up against Mohamed Light for the biggest match of his career. Arden's, not Mohamed's. And Mohamed Light very happy to be playing super aggressive, which I guarantee we'll see a lot of in this opening set.
Well, you got to keep in mind, too, that Arden probably realizes not just the stakes of this match and who he's playing against and what he's playing for, but he also realizes that across all the languages that we're streaming this in, and we're streaming this in English, German, Spanish, French, Italian. This is in so many different languages around the world that he's playing in front of the biggest audience he's ever been in front of as well. So there's a lot of stress in this situation.
A great delivery, plus to defend on that left-hand side. He does take a lot of damage, but then he goes hyper offensive on the right-hand side, so Mohamed in a very good spot.
Yeah, I really like how he set up his push. He needed to go in with the Royal Hogs to keep it, you know, to keep Arden Toas from just activating King Tower with the Firecracker. And right there, brilliant defense. I was thinking, you know, cycling barbs is almost never the right play. It allows you to, you know, Giant Skeleton plus Hunter, but it was the right play right there. The Firecracker, the delivery on top, the Earthquake slow, like, you have a lot of options available to you, even if your barbs get taken out. So I really liked how he chose to defend that.
High barbs here working against the Giant Skeleton, giving some cover to that Hunter who should be outside of that Skeleton bomb range. And he is, and Fisherman goes down. And now the mirrored barbs behind it. Mo going with what may be an absolute snipe job in this one. I saw someone on the Twitch chat saying sniping RG Lightning, and well, you know, Hunter plus barbs, you throw in that mirror as well, certainly has that flavor.
Oh, man. I mean, talk about getting played on by the GOAT of the game, just knowing exactly all the correct things to do and really putting on the hurt. That mirrored barbs, you saw the smile on his face. He knew that game was all sewn up.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. So, you know, we talk about those BO1 situations. Now you're Arden Toas, and you're win 2, or look, you go home with $15,000, not so bad. But let's put this in context as well, that we're in the CRL 2021 format. He would have earned a lot of money in this event, and then also points towards the World Finals. In this golden ticket phase where we're giving away up to 8 golden tickets, it's ticket or reset for the August for you know, our August through September, our summer push, and hope that you can come back for a finals push then.
Yeah.
AC, thoughts? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, just that stress, that pressure, it obviously wears on you. And you know, someone like Mohamed Light, you know, obviously everybody expects him to get it, and that pressure is immense. And so I like that deck number 1. He wants to just steal victories, have good matchups. Like, that's the kind of deck that will have quality matchups against a wide variety of decks. And so I really love that, especially knowing your opponent. Your opponent has consistently shown he's willing to go mortar game 1, mortar game 2, mortar game 1. Same thing with RG, game 1, game 2, game 1. So I love that he did that. Because yeah, you need that golden ticket. You can't wait for it. You need to take it.
And what great deck selection there by Mohamed Light when you talk about things that do and don't overlap. He comes out with Barbs, Firecracker, Royal Hogs, Mirror. And that was another thing I was going to ask, but then the game started was, how cute do we think Mohamed Light does get in this first set playing with House Money, knowing he's got another set to give where he can really buckle down if he needs to and burn through his opponents. Because Arden has to bring what he's best with early on. Mo can go through this entire set. He could even get swept in this set and then go, great, I played fun troll decks. You have no idea what I'm going to come out with in this final grand finals reset, which we might not even get to. I love the deck choice from him. It's so great in terms of no overlap and really, really surprising your opponent.
Well, let's review this deck, too, that Mohamed Light came out with. It was a Royal Hogs deck, cool, Firecracker, all right, EQ, delivery, all those make sense. But then the Barbs and the Mirror. Right? So, and doing Mirror, by the way, in the Champions meta, where you can get the value of spreading it out between a champion, not playing a champion. So there's so many things that Mo did here. Unbelievable snipe job. I mean, it's harder to get much better against that RG giant skeleton, but then also making Arden Toas's job and his analyst job so much more difficult as we go into Game 2 and potentially Game 3.
So a little stop and stare here as we're slow playing this. Golden Knight going to get close enough to dash on tower.
Oh, I think that I'm at 2:15, 14, 13. I might have had a little hiccup in the internet about 20 minutes ago. Didn't realize we were so separated in time.
What time are you at right now?
2:05, 4, 3,
Perfect.
2, 1.
Yeah, I reset mine as well, so we should all be in sync as we have an
Perfect.
RG at the bottom of your screen and Mortar with Golden Knight at the top. Last card, actually, yeah, I'm not sure what the last card is. It's got to be a spell of some sort.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe NATO to take advantage of the Golden Knight, but that would seem a little bit weird to have no direct damage spells.
Yeah, I think he's got to go bigger.
Usually with these kind of mortar decks, it tends to be Earthquake. So, with that out of play, it has to be, NATO or Fireball. But it is definitely a weird setup. But one thing I would like to point out is that, as a caster, I should not be able to say, this player goes this game 1, this game 2 over and over again, and then for him to run it game 1 and then game 2 he comes out with mortar. I think he has been playing super well, and yes, it's gotten there, but he has to recognize against Mohamed Light, one of the billion reasons why he's so talented is because he has that team behind him. He has Julesy helping him set up right decks, and you're going to know your opponent's coming out with mortar game 2.
Setting up Royal Giant to the right-hand side is Mo. It's reached the final 45 seconds of regulation time. Arden's already called good game, by the way, in this King Tower activation that may... Nope, not incoming. Already called good game, which is never a good sign. So we'll see if he can find some sort of way to battle back. But at the moment, feeling like he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point that Josh makes there. It's something that you and I have said for a really long time, Rich. If we can figure out at the booth, and the person getting paid to figure this out is going to figure it out. Now, obviously, Josh, a little better at Clash Royale than you and myself, but still in the same situation. He's not an analyst. He's a caster. It's not his job to figure out exactly what they're going to run. I mean, it kind of is, but the ability for him to know that and the fact that Arden just played right into it is very evident of the level of difference in skill and experience here at CR.
Royal Giant on the right-hand side here from Mohamed Light, and Mortar's in the opposite lane. Arden waves the white flag here. And there you go. The run of Mohamed Light these last couple of weeks has been absolutely bananas. Won a qualifier for Snapdragon Pro Series. He'll be in that golden ticket final, which he doesn't need anymore. Then won his qualifier for this event, and then now Mohamed Light, $30,000 and a guaranteed trip to CRL World Finals to get that second shot at a World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Mohamed Light coming in and doing exactly what he does best, exactly what we all expected. You see him celebrating there. He knows he was playing with house money this whole tournament and talking about money. $30,000 more in his pocket, and we so far have an incredible lineup at World Finals of Mohamed Light, the consensus #1 player in the world, and Samuel Basoto.
I mean, that's already an insanely stacked CRL World Finals, and you know, the conversation always goes on of who's the GOAT, and you know, you have the distinction maybe is Surgical Goblin the greatest of all time and Mohamed Light the best of all time. Nobody has done the kind of run that Mohamed Light has been on now for almost a year and a half. This is just absolutely unprecedented and completely bananas.